So the whole purpose of this class is just to see all the different states our body can be in, our mind can be in. And we'll begin by just standing in kind of a mountain posture, your feet comfortably hip width distance apart. And bring your hands up, and let's just rotate our hands and play with it. You can move your body too as you're doing this. Just move them as fast as you can. The goal here is to see if you can feel Qi. Those of us who don't have a lot of experience with Qigong or Tai Chi, we might not notice the energy field around us and the energy field within us. And I found that this particular practice, you can start to feel it kind of between your fingers. So just play with it. Yeah, I often say it feels like I have cotton candy in my hands when I'm doing this, but it can be different for different people, so it doesn't have to be that way for you. And then just come to a body of stillness and allowing your hands to come down, your feet, and notice the grounding of the energy going into the ground, going through the body, and lifting up through the crown of the head. And imagine, if you can't feel it, imagine a field of Qi around your body, even inside. There's a lot of space inside our body. You think about our cells even have space in them. So just feel that spaciousness inside as you lift up and you ground down, and that the energy, the Qi energy, can flow all through the body and around the body. So then we'll take our hands and we'll clasp them together, and we'll just twist our wrists really gently. You can start to make it a little bit bigger. You're kind of doing a figure 8. And then if possible, you can try to do it the opposite way. I find it hard for me to do it the opposite way, but I'm going to try. And then bringing the hands back down, grounding with your hands out, and relaxing your hands and wrists. Bringing special attention internally to the spaciousness inside. So we'll do one more warm up before we move into the different parts of the practice. So we'll just do a side curl, and just take one arm down toward the knee and bring the other arm up toward the armpit, nice and slow. We'll do that 2 times on each side. And then we can come down to the ground, and we'll come into a tabletop position on the ground. So the breathing that we'll be doing today is, you can use the diaphragmatic breathing as you move in and out of postures. So you can, in your tabletop, see if you can find your diaphragmatic breathing while you're in tabletop. And then just allow the body to, on an in-breath, go up into cow, and an out-breath, down to cat. So you're curling the body in for cat. And on an in-breath, up. And an out-breath into cat. In-breath into cow. And into cat. Then allow yourself to drop back in to child's pose. And here we'll hold this child's pose for 10 diaphragmatic breaths. So you can count yourself. And when you're done, you can come back into table. And then coming into table. And take a moment here to just think about, how was my state of consciousness when I was in that long pose? Did I feel rushed? Was I able to take a seat in my body and relax? No judgment, just an awareness. So now we'll be moving between that child's pose and either a cobra or an up dog. So we'll start with the up dog or cobra, moving into that. And moving back into child's pose. And we'll do this 4 times. You can do breath to movement if you'd like. And then after the 4th time, we'll go back into that extended child for 10 breaths again. When you're complete, you can come back to table. And then it doesn't matter which leg you take forward, but bring one leg forward to the outside of your hands. So we're moving into like a dragon posture, adjusting the body so you're comfortable in this. And we'll hold this for 4 breaths. And notice the stretching in the leg that's out long and the sinking into the leg that is bent. And then just to release that after the 4th breath is just go ahead and stretch back and flex your foot up. And then coming back into table. And then we'll take the other foot, the one that you didn't do, just bring that outside, sinking down into that foot, feeling the stretch. We'll do it for 4 breaths. And then a release, allowing that foot to come up and stretching the leg that was bent, stretching that long. And then returning to a table position. And then when I was learning this practice, they recommended pigeon, and I decided to do the 290 degrees. And it's because pigeon isn't as accessible for people. And Steve and I were talking about that. And so I asked him if he would teach this part about what he learned about the rotation of the hip and everything, and the 290 degrees. So he's going to, well, we'll start by bringing the front foot into a 90 degrees. And then from there, I'll let Steve take it.
So the front foot is in 90 degrees, and the ankle is also flexed into dorsiflexion at 90 degrees. And bring your back leg into 90 degrees, as well as the ankle. So everything's set up at a right angle at 90 degrees. And then the sit bone that's on the ground, my left leg is forward, so my left sit bone is on the ground. And I'm just gonna increase the distance from that back knee by pinning that back knee with my hand and just moving my sit bone over just to open up the hip just a little bit more. Just notice that opens up just a little bit more. Then using your hand to hold that front foot into that flexion, that dorsiflexion. Now, as we fold forward, imagine your tailbone's back. So we're actually in a cow or a half lift, those things that increase the distance from the crown of our head back to our tailbone. And then just ever so slowly fold forward. You may have to rotate your torso. Just fold forward, going down really slow, and just noticing the sensations in your back, hip, and in your leg, stretching the piriformis. And then we'll move down into what would be the equivalent of sleeping pigeon, or I guess we could call it sleeping 90 degrees. But just fold forward, we'll hold that for a count of 10. Just relaxing over that front knee. You may have to move your body in little ways, little micro adjustments, just to find what's beneficial for your hips, and your leg, as well as your lower back. And just relax. Still with the diaphragmatic breath, maybe a little bit more awkward for that diaphragmatic breath because we've compressed our lower abdomen. Just notice. Pay attention and observe your body. As we slowly come out of that, once again with that long spine, the tailbone back, the crown of the head forward, will slowly come up, still maintaining that length. As we come back up, bring our torso back upright. And now let's just use this chance to move our body in a twist to the side, away from that back knee and back ankle, and then maybe down. And then back up, and maybe a little bit closer to the front knee, still in a twist to the side, down, and then back up. And we'll just fold forward over that front knee, and then back up. Now over the front ankle, so now we're kind of at a 45. And then we'll twist to the side that our back knee is. And it's not much of a fold forward, but just try to fold. Just notice the sensation in your hip as well as your lower back. And then we'll do the other side. To do that, let's plant our hands. We'll make our way back to tabletop. And then take the other knee. We'll do the other side to the front of the mat and set up for 90 degrees on this side. Once again, front leg, 90 degrees. Back leg, 90 degrees. Both ankles flexed, dorsiflexion. And we'll take a moment to set up our hips to open up that space. So pinning that back knee with your hand and then lifting the sit bone over to the side away from that back knee. Just open up the hip a little bit more. Maybe notice a difference in the setup and the sensations in this side versus the last one. Now with your torso rotated to the front, once again, tailbone back, an arch, crown of the head and the distance of the tailbone as far as you can get. We'll slowly fold forward over the front knee. Slowly going down. Still with the breath, belly expanding on an inhale, belly returning on an exhale. We'll slowly fold forward and come into sleeping 90 degrees on this side. When you finally reach your point of relaxation, let go at the same time. Continue to notice your body. Notice your hip. Notice the sensation in your legs and your lower back as you're slowly releasing. Still breathing. Inhale, belly expands. Exhale, it returns. As we slowly return out of this, once again, notice your breath, notice your inhale, notice your exhale. As we slowly come up, make our way back to where the torso is vertical. Now we'll twist to the side, away from, and then slowly lower down into that twist, and then back up. Maybe a 45 twist to the outside over that front knee. And maybe just twist or rotate down towards the front knee. This time coming back up, no rest, just back up. And towards the front ankle. And back up. And now to the side over that back knee. And then back up. Plant your hands, we'll return back to table. Maybe just a quick cat and cow, just to notice now what your hips feel like, ankles and knees. And then back to table.
So from here, what we can do is to take one of our legs, we're going to be moving into cow face, so take one of your legs and lift it up and just set it behind the other leg. So you, while you're kind of in a cross-legged table, it's kind of fun. And then just use your hands to bring you back to sit down. And then go ahead and find, if you can spread your legs a little bit so your sit bones can touch. And then just Allow space and time here. About 10 breaths. And then you can twist to one side just to open up, and to the other side to open up, and crawl back into table. And bringing your legs back so they're side by side, parallel. Then taking the other leg, putting it behind, sitting back into the cow face posture, finding your sit bones if you can. If you have the flexibility in the hips to do that. Just hold this for about 10 breaths if you can. Then crawling, oh, I'm sorry, we'll twist to one side. And then to the other. And then go ahead and crawl forward. And to tabletop. From here, go ahead and tuck our toes and move into a down dog pose. You can allow the legs to bend and release if you like, or you can just hold a down dog. And then we'll just walk our feet toward our hands, coming into a forward fold, bending your knees as much as possible. Thinking about how your spine is kind of released like a string of pearls. It's being lifted up as you lift up from the crown of your head. Stacking those pearls right on top of each other as you come all the way up to a mountain pose. We're going to do a little yoga flow at this point. So if you need to move a little bit more toward the top of your mat, you can. So we'll be stepping back. So taking whichever side you want to start on and stepping that leg back and coming into a warrior one. Allowing that front leg to bend, the arms to go up, pulling for about 4 breaths. And then turning the body in such a way that your hips are turning toward the front of the, or the long end of the mat. And putting your arms out so you're in warrior 2. Turning your head toward the front knee. Holding that for 4 breaths. 4 breaths. And then reach, going into a reverse warrior for 4 breaths. And dropping down into a side angle. 4 breaths. You choose how you want your arm. Your other arm, it can be at your sacrum or up above. And then coming back in to warrior two. And turning into warrior one. And then stepping back into mountain pose. We're ready to go to the other side, stepping the other foot back. And holding a warrior one once you get into it for about 4 breaths. Turning the body, your hips are facing the long end of the mat into warrior two for 4 breaths. Reverse warrior. Noticing all the beautiful movements the body can make. And noticing what the mind does. Then dropping into a side angle. Allowing your arm to come up if you want, or it can stay at your sacrum. Holding this side angle for 4 breaths. And returning briefly into warrior two. Turning into warrior one. Adjusting your feet if needed. And stepping back in to a mountain pose. From here, we'll move in to set up for a wide legged forward fold. So your hips are facing the long end of the mat. Your legs are comfortably apart. What feels comfortable for you, and then just slowly moving toward the ground. Take about 4 breaths to move there. Adjusting your feet if needed. And then once you get to the ground, placing your hands on the ground and allowing one hand to come up and turn toward the side of that hand. Coming back to center. Putting the weight on the hand that was in the air and lifting the other hand up. Twisting the other way. And then coming back to the center again. Bringing those legs in so you can move into a yogi squat. And just holding the yogi squat for about 4 breaths. Then you can just release and allow the body to move to the ground. So your bottom is on the ground. We'll roll onto our back. And do a stretch out. Our legs, our toes are pointing in one direction and our arms are pointing in the other. Just feel that long stretch of the body. Check in with the mind. The mind in the body. And then we'll just turn. This is where you can use a pillow if you want, or you can use your arm because we're going to set up for a couple soma practices here on our side. So side curls, the first one. So turn on your side, and what you do is your front leg is aligned with the mat, and your knee is at a 90-degree angle, and then just setting the other leg on top. Now, a lot of times the way this is taught is you bring your arm up and over your ear, but I wanted to do it different today. Just bring your arm up and drop it down to your shoulder. Your elbow is kind of in the air, and use your elbow and your ankle coming together, and that will help to create a side curl. Lifting your ankle, pointing your elbow toward that ankle. We'll do it 4 times. And then from this position where your legs are parallel with the front of the mat, we're going to tuck those legs back to the other side of the mat. So your knees are toward one side and your feet are toward the other. You're still on your side. You can put your pillow or your arm underneath. We're going to do the clamshell. So it's just lifting the leg up like you're opening like a clamshell. Using your hand to steady you if you need it. Just nice and slow. We'll do that 4 times really slow. And only go as far as what feels good for you. We're just exploring the muscles that it takes to do this. So now we'll bring our arms into it. So take that arm that you had under and put it out. Put your other arm on top. And then we'll just open our arm as far as we want. And your knee can go with you like you were using in the clamshell as far as you want. Opening up and then closing the clamshell. We're doing it a total of 4 times. And then when you're complete, you can roll into a cat and cow. We'll move to the other side. I'm going to turn around so I'm facing the same direction, but you can just move on to the other side after you do a cat and cow. And table. And then start to set your body up using a pillow underneath your shoulder, or you can use your arm. So for the first one, your legs are at a 90-degree at the front of the mat. And taking your arm up and bringing it down to your shoulder, and then lifting your ankle and pointing your elbow towards your ankle, and that creates a side curl. We do 4 of those. When you're done with that, you can tuck your feet back and explore what it feels like to do the clamshell with just your legs. You're not recruiting the arms yet, just experiencing the muscles in the legs. Lifting the upper leg away. If you feel any kind of shaky or jigs or jags, just try to smooth it out. When you're complete with your 4th one, you can bring that arm out. Set the other arm on top of it, and we'll do an opening clamshell by rubbing that arm across the body and opening up and allowing the leg to open too. And then closing up by rubbing across the body toward the hand and the knee back to the other knee. Do that 3 more times. When you're complete with that, we'll move into a staff position. So we'll move into a staff position. So here what we want to do is just allow the body to relax forward. We're getting ready to move into the Yoga Nidra, and this is an opportunity to mentally prepare for Yoga Nidra. I want to explain, just allow your spine to come forward towards your legs and your arms, just relax. That a lot of times in Yoga Nidra, they recommend that you have a sankalpa, and it would stay the same each time you do it. And I'm inviting you today to just notice what's on your mind. If there's anything that's troubling you that keeps going over and over in your mind, just know that you can, through the Yoga Nidra practice, you can just release that. Because you're moving to a different state of consciousness. It's kind of like a dreaming while awake stage. So to prepare for it, you can think about how you want to build your Yoga Nidra nest. You can be laying on your back with pillow and blanket. You can lean against a wall with pillow and blanket. It doesn't have to be on your back. Or you can lay on your side. That's a possibility too. So just think how you want to do it, and I'll allow you some time to move into your Yoga Nidra nest. So we have an opportunity to use our mind to visualize a moon, and you can visualize it in whatever phase that you would like. As you come into your resting position, notice your body breathing. Feel the rise and fall of the navel. Have your breath be like the rise and the fall of waves. How the moon controls the rise and the fall of the wave. There's something larger at play. So imagine you're by a body of water, and the moon is reflecting into that body of water. And you can create a circle of protection around your body. You can create it with imaginary stones, laying them out around the body, or drawing a line with a stick in the dirt or the sand, or flower petals. Just create a circle of protection around the body. And then create a second circle of protection around the body. And then a third and final protection, circle of protection around the body. Create a third one. So now your body is inside 3 circles of protection. You can release, you can relax, and you can listen for the sounds. All the sounds you hear outside that circle of protection. Just listen and release without judgment from sound to sound to sound. Your body is releasing more and more as it relaxes. You can start counting backwards from 9. And if you lose track, just start over again. as you lay in this circle of protection, experience the essence of your innate well-being. You are as vast as the night skies. Filled with moonlight, you allow your body to rest radiantly in the glow of the moon as it rises. Invite dreams and imaginations to fill the space around you. Expanding and rising like the moon, rest in the power of gentle, ever-changing, yet ever-present nature. You are one with that power. Remember where you are now by finding your breath. Inhale as the belly rises. Remember that you have a body. Welcome yourself into an integrated awareness, bringing with you any dreams, insights that you experienced. Bring with you a feeling of well-being and peace. When you're ready to integrate that experience, just roll onto your side. After a few breaths, you can gently push up into a seated position. Now you can move in to your waking and walking around hours with a sense of well-being and presence and peace. The practice is now complete.